Hey, what do you think of this new camera I got? Huh? You guys, I went out and got a
Oh,
new
that's pretty
camera.
cool. Sure you did.
Do
Sure,
you have a new
sure you did.
laptop or a new camera?
It's a new camera. It showed up at my house. I order things when I'm not even paying attention, apparently. I ordered something to
Yeah,
come to my house.
sure,
It was
sure.
with special
So so
microphone.
so is it like attached to your laptop, like
Yeah,
one of
it's
the
like right up here.
YouTubers?
It's just this little thing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, David, you're getting
It's
closer
a
and closer
clip.
to a vlogger. It's cool.
Okay. With some help from his friends, it mysteriously showed up because I purchased him that and sent it to him. And now look at the view is great, the sound is great, it's wonderful.
Well
Um,
done.
I am. You
I
might hear a
I heard
car
a lot of
beeping.
feedback. Yeah, it's very faint though.
Okay.
Um, I heard a lot of feedback on one of your podcasts that people couldn't hear at all.
Oh yeah, totally.
They
That was
they couldn't hear you on the bus. So I
yeah,
was like, all right, let's fix that. Let's
yeah.
get that fixed.
I'm back in
Uh,
Kirkland today
but we're
because
not here to talk about.
well,
Yes. Go
we're
ahead.
here to talk about the field work and the kind of people we're talking to, and then what tells us about the Harrison Walls campaign. And the starting point for this, and this is October 3rd, Thursday, is that Harris is campaigning today in Ripon, Wisconsin. And
Mhm.
Ripon, Wisconsin is not a famous place for anybody to know about, except it's the birthplace of the Republican Party. All right. Back
Crazy.
back in 1856 is where the Republican Party was founded. Um, in it, and it's became the party of Lincoln very quickly after that.
Yeah, this is back when they were the good guys.
it's, it's a very different Republican Party. And I want to show this image here of and she's not only campaigning in Ripon, she's campaigning in a very specific way there today. So here's here's the invite for this campaign today. Kamala Harris to campaign with Liz Cheney in the birthplace of the GOP. All right.
That's a big deal. That is them going, they're going on the offense. They're going on the offense. Donald Trump has a history of doing rallies in places that are historically significant to terrible
For
terrible
terrible
events
reasons. Yes.
in groups. Uh and so she's going to the heart of the Republican Party there, where it all started with one of the biggest moderate Republicans in the country. That's
Well, yeah,
huge. That's offensive.
she every campaign stop at this point has got to be surgically like designed. All right. For a candidate for a campaign. Nobody's wasting time or shouldn't be wasting time anywhere, anytime. So there's like the two kind of places you might see a candidate at this point in the campaign would be in a place that is clearly where their supporters are and they got to just fire them up and mobilize them, or a
Yeah.
place where they're trying to get others and shave off some of the voters that would be for the opponent. This is clearly an instance of going to a place with historical significance to try to shave off some of the Republican voters who are really disgruntled with Donald Trump, and then further angered with the revelations that have come out of the January 6th uh, court court transcripts from uh, that were released yesterday. And Liz Cheney, of course, was one of the co-chairs of the January 6th Commission. So for her to go campaign with Harris the day
Mhm.
after these court filings were released, showing Trump so clearly orchestrating the January 6th insurrection it's really a solid strategic move. It's really a solid strategic
It's a
move.
it's a it's a good moment. It's one where either it was entirely choreographed or the stars aligned. Either way, it's perfect for us. It comes off of a, I would say, vanilla VP debate for us, where we didn't gain a lot there, and if anything, the other side looked better. And right after that, the news came out about J6, which napped everybody back into view about what the priorities were. When in fact, also the biggest points that Walls made on the debate were about the insurrection. And so
Mm-hmm.
for this to come the day after, not only does it refocus the entire landscape politically, but it also saves us from having to swim in the waters of this kind of okay JD Vance kind of person. So this is good. This is really, really good for us. And her going there is not only is it her being on offense, but to your point, this is her actually showing that she can be bipartisan and work with Republicans.
So at this point in the campaign, we have gotten a pretty clear picture from our field work of who we're being asked to talk to out in the field. I mean, we've been out in the field. You guys have been leading efforts out in the field. This is our third weekend since the strong push began. And you two right now are in Georgia, not in the same room, but you're in Georgia and you're there for some work. And you'll probably be maybe you're going to be in North Carolina this weekend too, or you're going to be a few other places.
We're Texas this weekend. Ben's gonna go home and take a break. I'm going to Texas right after this.
I'm taking a break.
Oh, okay.
Ohio and Nevada are happening at the same time too. Marcy's gonna go down to Nevada.
Okay, so we're Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, Texas, and I know Team Maryland is also doing some work this weekend, or not Team Maryland, action steps or whatever you call
them. Yes, Maryland, New York, Oregon, and Ohio as well.
That's so
and
good.
Washington.
And Washington, always Washington. Yeah.
So we're getting so there's the two questions to drive this podcast today. One is you've talked to the CP community through various channels about the way in which field work is doing what needs to be done, adjusting to the kinds of doors we're out there. So I want to have you tell us more about that again and what we're doing. And then second, I want to ask you a bigger question about how we're getting requests for us to come out and do work. All right, so let's start with the first one. Mm-hmm. You may feel like you're covering ground that you've already talked about, but I know that you're polishing and refining on a daily basis. And I wanted to use this podcast to talk about what exactly we're seeing at the doors and how you're best preparing us. So please go ahead and do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like you pretty much hit it on the head with how we opened up this podcast of like how Kamala Harris is now campaigning with Liz Cheney, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it's like it shows that it's not as this is really interesting. The election has evolved in such a way that the electorate has also expanded beyond what we initially expected, right? Because like before in elections, it was very much like, Dems versus Republicans, you vote blue or red, and then you are kind of like rarely down the middle, right? That's why the margin is so small. Now what has happened is that like with Kamala Harris being at the top of the ticket, her bipartisanship, the way that she's appealed to Republican voters and independent voters means that the margin still stays slim. Like it's a very close, very close race still, but the potential to flip voters or the potential to persuade voters, that margin of persuasion has expanded. Before, the margin to sway an election and to persuade a voter is pretty much kind of like small. Now it's like grown like this, right? And so
before it was a turnout game. It was much more of we turn out our side, they turn out theirs, and then hopefully we win because we've got more voters.
Yeah,
you're right. More persuasion.
More persuasion. More people are open to persuasion.
Well, if we look at use a visual image of a tennis court or a volleyball court, and there's a net in the middle, and each side can reach over the net, and they're trying to reach certain people on the other side. Who is Harris and Walz trying to get to? And that's how we're being deployed. And in counter, who do we think that Trump at all is getting that has been on Dem side?
Yeah, so the people who we can reach out to now are it's the suburban white women again, but women in general across the board. It is actually diehard OG Republicans who have realized that Trump is not Republican. He's not a conservative, in practice. He's a Republican in name only. Actually, he's thrown so many of their traditions out the window, and also their goals. And on the other side, and this is something we're going to be talking about for a much longer time. We're losing young men on the left, and it's young men across identities. So across, it's white men, it's black and brown men. Those people who have grown up, had their formative years under COVID, in isolation because of COVID and technology, and then have been directly targeted with influence on social media intentionally from outside entities, from other countries, because they realize how susceptible they are to influence. Those are the folks that we're gonna lose some of this election. Some of them are gonna not vote. Others are gonna move over to Trump's side, and you see him campaigning in that way, where he's going after these macho, misogynistic men and going on their podcasts and going on their YouTube channels and stuff. And that's what he's doing instead of doing traditional media. So the interesting thing about that is that you see that the Harris campaign not trying to fight that and not trying to fight for those voters, actually instead going for the ones that are closer to us already, which are those moderates, the independents, etc. You got more to add on that, Ben, on who we're reaching out to?
Only one more point, and it's more on like a class point, where it's like, I think the Dems are really reaching out to the middle class, people who are looking to move up in mobility. So like people who are starting their families for the first time, who are relying on like government assistance to create families, childcare, and to buy homes, people really starting out for in their career and like coming together. Anyway, words are getting lost on me. But like looking at some of the Trump lit, like while we were in North Carolina and in other parts of the country here, they're really going for people.
Trump literature. You saw some?
Because like sometimes they would be, we're hitting swing voters, and and that means that
so
both
when you
parties are
show
going
up
to reach out to them.
When you show up at doors, you sometimes see Trump literature, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Of course, because that's the doors we're going to.
Right. People who could be going both ways. That's the definition of swing. And so I think it's sometimes you look at the rhetoric there, and it's targeting people who are in poverty. It's targeting people with a lot to lose, right? They're like, you can't afford this. You can't afford to pay your bills. You can't afford to feed your family. You can't afford to do any of this, right? It's really hitting people's pain points, and really like capitalizing on like what they feel every day living in poverty, and then like blaming it on the Democratic Party for not having your life be better. So while and of course, same to what Charles is saying, the Democratic Party really isn't talking to people who are in poverty, or like at the very bottom here of the class structure.
That's a would say that's a specific outlook in North Carolina, in those doors that we were going to in North Carolina, because these audiences are very different in different states.
Yeah, but I would also say it's the same with like in Montana, where people are losing their industries.
Yeah.
It's totally an economic thing. It is an economic thing.
It would seem to me to be it's economic, but it's identity. It's a sense of loss, where people are feeling loss or threat. Loss or threat. That is the essence of the kind of MAGA mindset. It's the essence of, I'm losing something, and somebody else who I don't like is getting something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of that we can't fight. Some of that is rooted in like deep racism, and mis and disinformation. Like they've been indoctrinated by Fox News to believe that every time money goes out for one group, it has to get taken away from somewhere. It has to get taken away from you. And they think it's a zero-sum game within the like middle to lower class income level. And that could be a reason why. So it's really they've been taught this thing. So some of that is like, what we've learned on the left is we're not going to try to fight you on the facts. One of the mistakes we made earlier on was like, you know, Biden being like, inflation is going down. What do you mean? What's this malarkey about inflation? And people are like, dude, I can't, like, it costs me more. What are you talking about? Like, I don't care about the market and
Mm-hmm.
the inflation rate. It cost me more than it did
Right.
before. This is like the big thing under Trump. Like, things cost more now than it did under Trump. And that's a fact. Like, all the moving pieces around that and whose fault it was or whatever, like, people are just like, this is my reality. So like, don't,
Yeah.
we can't fight them on the market forces. It is more about like, I hear you, I see you,
Yep.
and
Yep.
here are
Yep.
the
Yep.
things that we think are going to affect your life.
Yep.
Right. Which is why, you know, David's thing coming up on Monday is going to be pretty important because like we have an opportunity at each of these stores to really be like, okay, so you're feeling this way, right? Like let's like it's not constructive to point fingers. Let's talk about who can give you the best solution moving forward. Is it going to be a
So
Trump
what's coming up on
administration?
Monday? What is this? What are you
Oh,
talking about?
oh yeah, that's right. So David is doing a little Zoom lecture on Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, like literally before his actual lecture at 5 p.m. Pacific time, also on Monday. You're gonna get double David. But the first Zoom is gonna be
Oh
about
no.
the first Zoom is gonna be about like breaking down Harris Wells policy talking points. Um, like what is the Harris administration going to do to address these really real issues that Americans are feeling? So because like we have an opportunity at every door to be like that pain point that you have, right? If you want to keep feeling it, then like respect, whatever. But if you're actually interested in someone who can make that a little bit better for you, think about this person and this, like listing out what they're planning to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay,
yeah.
David, tell us about what this is, man. What
Well,
is this? What
let's
are you
stop.
putting together?
Let's set this up first of all. So field work,
Yeah.
you all have done a really spectacular job of identifying the fact that Harrison Walls' campaigns around the country, across all these states, are asking us to knock on doors for independents and people who are soft Republicans or who like really are conservatives and don't like Trump. Right? You've identified that. So you've set up ways to support our volunteers in this. And the thing on Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific time is one of many things that you're doing.
Yeah.
You've created a video to explain to people that's been going out, being watched by lots of people. You also are you're about to, or maybe you've already started trainings, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the your event is going under the umbrella of what we're calling our 202 volunteer training. So
Okay.
we have a 100 series, which is introductory, and then we have a 200 series. It starts with Devin's kind of tougher training around talking to each other around difference. So this is 202, and this is, you know, as immediately when we ran into this issue, we were like, you know, we need some more training. Ben and I went back and forth while we were live in the field. I think you were in Arizona at the time, coming from Montana, and I was in Pennsylvania, and we were like, this is happening everywhere. And immediately you were like, we need a 202. This is going to be a 202 thing. So what is in the umbrella of volunteer training 202, Ben?
Yeah. So 202 at the heart of it is a response to the immediate
Mm-hmm.
need of our
Mm-hmm.
volunteer community, right? So this is not like something structured and like extensively thought out like our other volunteer trainings that we had. It's also not recurring. So the reason why it's called a training series is because the goal is to offer you as much as we can to prepare you for these different varieties of conversation and
Excellent.
scenarios. Yeah, it's not like a one
Yeah,
time, it's not an offering that's
in
close
this
back
moment.
Right.
in this
Yep.
moment,
Yeah.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, under the umbrella of 202, you have a variety of things. You have David's little info session, right? Breaking down talking points with Puya. And then you also have a volunteer panel to talk about, like, what are these experienced canvassers' mindsets when talking to Republicans and independents? We found that to be incredibly important at doors. That's happening this Saturday.
Okay, so
We
let's do
also,
it chronologically then. So
oh, okay. Yes.
this
Yeah.
Saturday is this panel.
This Saturday is this panel. Okay. And I'm actually gonna go, let's do chronologically and I'll go into more explanation as to like how and why. So chronologically, this Saturday is a panel of experienced canvassers and how they approach Republican and independent doors and voters, right?
Great, great. That's
And
good.
these
That's
are
good
people
enough.
who went through this like with
Two
CP over
weekends
these
ago.
past couple weekends.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
were specifically in Montana and Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And then on Monday, so the 7th is going to be your thing with Puya. And then the 17th
Okay.
is going to be Jordan's training about how to advocate for issues at door. So like how do you connect someone's like like quality of life or issues that they're experiencing with a policy that the candidate that you're kind of like advocating for is doing. So it's kind of like, how do we take that to the next level? I also got off the phone with what?
That's Jordan Landfair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the team leads for Wisconsin. Okay. And
Correct.
a teacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So those are the three finalized things. I'm also working on two more things. One of them is a more formal training with Christine Scott and Libby. They both have experience in conflict management, facilitation, and deep listening. And they're going to offer more of like a formal technique on how to engage and disengage with voters. And then I just got off the phone with Mary Ingram, and we're offering like one or two sessions of drop-in role playing, like scenario
Oh
practice.
man, I like it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's a
good
little bit for
job.
everybody. There's a little bit for everybody. And we're going to concentrate it all in like the next 3 weeks because, we don't actually have much time left.
Right.
But
So
the
here
reason why,
I want
oh
to
yeah,
go.
go ahead.
I'm gonna take it, Ben. I'm gonna take it because I know you two got to get off to a meeting here in a second.
Yes, 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 yes.
So look, here's the way I see it, CP Nation. What I see is that our fieldwork team understands the exigencies of the moment, and we've played through the first half of this game. We played through the first half, and now it's halftime adjustments. And the very best make the halftime adjustments and prepare us to win. And Seahawks are famous for winning in the fourth quarter. Okay. So the reality is that we're now entering the final stretch. We're entering our final stretch, and you all have built and are building while we're flying this plane. I'm switching metaphors. While we're flying this plane, you're building these new structures. And you weren't apologizing, Ben, that they're not that thought out, but you were kind of humbly saying like, hey, we're kind of putting these things together. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
This is really good stuff. All right.
I agree.
This is really, really good stuff. And community, this is how we serve you. This is how we prepare you. We're not looking for polish at this point. We're looking to how to win.
Well, it's also not possible. It's not possible. So which other organization could stand up on the fly an entire series of trainings outside of their normal trainings to be ready to answer the needs of volunteers this quickly? There is no way that could be more put together than this.
And
so,
to me,
the self-deprecation is out the window. Throw it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this is how we take care of our community. All right. This is how we do that. And so that's awesome. I'm thrilled. I'm happy to do a little bit of part on Monday. And here's what I'm going to say, everybody, and I hope you to come, that we're not out there to persuade anybody. People persuade themselves. That's how it works. All right. We're out there to show up and to present people another option. And if they choose that other option, that's great. And if they don't, they at least heard it. And then we move on. Okay. But persuasion is not a helpful terminology when we talk about communications. It sounds daunting. Like we're going to persuade somebody. All we're trying to do is to give them an alternative. That's what we do. We show up. And
this is hilarious because Ben said the same thing. Okay. I know, man. Listen, you two are on the exact same page. The reason why we use the language persuasion is because that's what the campaigns use.
I know. I understand.
That I know, but it's also, I mean, the funny thing about where we are in politics, and I know we're coming to a close here, is that it doesn't actually take a lot to persuade these people. They're looking for a reason to come towards us. Okay. It is very simple. Some of these people have their minds changed because we come to their door and because we're willing to come to their door. It actually, the only half of it is what you're saying. Some of these people are amazed that a Democrat is willing to come to their door and doesn't see them as a demon and is willing to talk to them like a human being. And that's enough to get them to consider. This is really just like de-arming everybody and humanizing people and a reset. We're in the middle of a reset, y'all. That's what we're doing. and it takes people going to the door one at a time.
Yeah.
Can I add something too to just kind of like wrap us up here?
I
Because you
thought
were
we had
like
to
throw,
go.
yeah, I know, but like you were like throw humble out the window, and I'm like, sure, I got something to say about that. So here's the thing, like all of the stuff that David and Charles are saying, it's like, yeah, it's true. It's easier than you think. It's like we're just trying to like move through the hard doors to get to the important conversations, right? And it's gonna be very challenging. Like a lot of rewarding things are, and it's gonna be very challenging for you at these doors. Um, and I think this is a bit of a call out and a call in, but we're gonna do our best to tell you ahead of time where we're gonna be and who we're gonna talk to. So
Mhm.
if you're a little bit surprised about all of that, just be forewarned that you're going to be surprised. Okay. The other thing too here is that you're volunteers. So you have full agency of whether or not to join us.
Yeah, totally.
You may be in this for a variety of reasons, to feel good, to do good, to make an impact, whatever. But just know that if our intention is to keep going. Our intention is to talk to voters and get them to vote for Kamala and get them to vote our way as much as we can. Okay, we're gonna engage. The game is to engage. So if you're gonna feel like, you know what, this is not my thing, this is too hard, like I actually don't feel like I can do this, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Just don't go on the trip where this is the most of the time, you know? There are other states that can use your help. There are other communities that we're trying to reach. Don't push yourself to the brink here trying to do this work if you're not up for it. So that's
Yeah,
really all we gotta say.
I see it as the equivalent of the modern civil rights movement back in the 1950s and 1960s.
Yeah.
Not everybody marches. Not everybody
Mm-hmm.
marches, right? Somebody's got to cook the meals. Somebody's got to send some money. Somebody's got to sing the music. Man, it takes everybody.
Mhm.
All right. And so
Yeah.
we need everybody. I love that field work is making very clear like what are you going to get out in the field now that you have a very clear sense of that. You always do that, but we've just been surprised by these shift. And way to go.
Yeah.
Kudos. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let's end here, but we are talking to all of our partners, and we're going to be more aware of all the doors from here out. So
Okay.
there has been some question about that, and we're not gonna continue to be surprised. We don't like that. So we have been talking to them and being like, what exactly are we doing? Where are we doing it? You got to tell us, please. So all
All
good.
right. All right. Well,
Okay.
appreciate it. Appreciate it
Okay.
both. Go do whatever you're gonna do. Okay.
Okay. You too, David. Do what
All
you
right.
gotta do.
Knocking on
Okay.
doors. We're knocking on doors in Atlanta. We're talking to API voters. We're doing some cool stuff with BWIN and some elected officials out here. And Pramila Jayapal's flying out here to come hang out with us. So, small stuff.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. Let's go. Final stretch. See ya.
Okay,
All
goodbye.
right.
Bye.